This video is a Fieldcraft video. It's on fire discipline. Now, this video came about because I realized the vast majority of the people out there never served in the military, so they've never had to put this in consideration. The only example you have is what you see on TV and in movies. And in every movie and every TV show, they show you every weapon like this. Just as just a straight M forgery, a civilian semi-auto M4. But they show you in every TV show and every movie that every one of these, including civilian ARs, are actually fully automatic capable. Now that can be done, but it takes a lot of work. And I'm not going to go into that in a video because I'm not interested in this channel getting taken down. Now, how do you tell the difference between a civilian AR and a military one? Well, the selector, the fun switch, on a civilian AR is just two positions. Forward like this, safe. Straight up, semi. If it was military, you would have a third position over here. Depending on what series of rifle that is, it could be full automatic or 3-round burst. Now, when I was in the desert, I never put my rifle on burst. I only ever used semi-auto, and I did my best to count rounds. Now, for those of you that just want to scratch that itch, to always use full auto, I want you to take into consideration how quickly an M4A1, the fully auto version of a rifle like this, or an M16A1 can burn through a 30-round magazine. Without looking it up, how many of you can guess the answer? How long does it take an M16A1 or an M4A1 set to full automatic to burn through a full 30-round magazine in one squeeze of the trigger? Don't look it up. The answer is 2 seconds. So if you're constantly going around spraying full auto all the time, how many magazines are you going to have to carry for every single engagement if all you're going to do is full auto all the time? Trust me, it's going to be a hell of a lot. So, let's talk about fire discipline. One thing I want you to always keep in mind is spray and pray gets you killed. Why? Because you will burn through your ammo faster than the enemy will. So after you used up your magazine, guess what? It's not like a fucking video game where you press R or press that little button on your controller and then magically automatic you get a brand new reload in there. Reloads take time. How long does it take to do a reload? Depends on you, on the technique that you employ and how often you practice it. Survival in combat depends on you having ammunition longer than your enemy does, so that when he is reloading, you get your chance to put a couple rounds in him, put him down for the count, turn him into fucking worm food. Spray and pray gets you killed. Now, what about if you do somehow get a hold of a military grade rifle? And it doesn't just have to be an M16. It can be an AK, an actual G3, a FAL, or a FAMAS, or any of the other types of military grade weaponry that are out there. When could you use full auto or burst. Situations such as you are assaulting a position and you're going to be in close contact. Example, you are clearing trenches. You have made it through the wire on the enemy's base. You are in the trenches, moving down the trench. The chance of you coming across an enemy at point blank range in a split second is extremely high. So in that type of situation, that is why you have full auto or 3-round burst on an M16 A1, A2, an M4, M4 A1. And yes, M16 A4 also. So in those situations, save that rapid fire for when you're really close in. Now, if all you have is a civilian rifle and you are going through clearing trenches, what can you do if you don't have full auto or burst? Double tap. Put 2 in the chest right away. Even if they got a plate carrier on, the impacts will push them back. It will stun them for that half second, hopefully allowing you to get your barrel lined up, pointed right between their fucking eyes, and then pull the trigger one more goddamn time and see the pink mist at point blank range. Remember, it's him or you. Who wants more to go home at the end of the conflict and see their family? Another situation, urban warfare. When you are entering a building and clearing a building. If you are fighting from one building to another, semi-auto. Okay? You can go a little bit more rapid in semi-auto then, but don't burn through all your rounds. When you are clearing a building, you're in the same type of situation as if you are clearing a trench or clearing a bunker. The contact is going to be extremely close. So you want to make sure to get enough rounds into that enemy to, at a minimum, incapacitate them, hopefully kill their ass right away, so that you can then transition on to that next target. Next situation, you're clearing a kill zone of an ambush. You hit the enemy, you took them out. Now you got to go through, make sure they're all dead and no one is playing possum. That's another situation where it's going to be really close contact, it's going to be fast. If someone is alive in there, you want to put enough rounds into them fast enough to put them down for the count permanently. Once again, like I said with semi-autos, if you're in a situation, even if you're carrying an M1 carbine or an M1 Garand, put a couple rounds into them as fast as you can in that situation and try to make sure you are aiming for the kill zone. The last situation, defense. Now in this situation, you are defending a position. Maybe you are on the perimeter of your base. You didn't notice the counterinsurgents are moving in to take you out. So, when could you use full auto or burst at that time? First off, I'm going to say this. If the enemy is 100 meters or beyond, semi-auto only. The exception to that is if you have a belt fed, such as an M249 squad automatic weapon, an M60, an M240, a PKM, an FM Mag 58, an MG3, or whatever the equivalents around the world. Those weapons are meant for full auto fire in defense situations. And in those situations, those weapons are supposed to concentrate on groups, not individuals. The individual targets are supposed to be taken care of by the rifleman. So you see a fire team that's too close together, you can give them a good sweep with your saw. That's when you're going to give them a little controlled burst. How much? We were taught 6 to 10 rounds in those situations. But really, you should shoot for 3 to 6. And it also depends on how far out they are. The farther away they are, don't waste as many rounds. Because the chance of you hitting them accurately with full auto fire, with burst fire, is pretty much nil. As soon as you squeeze that trigger, that first round is going to go where you pointed it, and the next rounds are going to start moving their way skyward to become anti-aircraft fire. Or if you really jerk the trigger, that first round is going to go where you aimed, and then the next rounds are either going to go to the right or the left, hitting trees, hitting sand, hitting buildings, whatever's there. So if you're a rifleman, semi-auto fire, 100 meters or greater. Now, under 100 meters, 50 to 100 meters, double tap. You can get off 2 shots relatively close together, relatively aimed and controlled in that range, and the enemy is close enough that both of those rounds should impact the body if you had a proper sight picture and proper trigger control. You're not hogging that trigger, jerking it to the left or right. You have good control of the weapon, so it's not going too far up and down. You should be able to get off 2 aimed shots, accurate shots, 50 to 100 meters. Now, below 50 meters, if you have a military grade rifle that has full auto or burst, you're still going to want to do double tap until they get down to grenade range. When they get over to grenade range, that is when you're going to want to flip that fun switch over to that third position. And then controlled bursts. Your enemy is going to be basically right on top of you. You should be able to get at least 2 of those 3 rounds inside that target. If you have a full auto weapon, try to control your bursts so that you get off 3 to 6 rounds into that target at close range. Do not burn through the entire magazine on a single fucking target. I don't care how jacked up they are, how big they fucking are. Put your round in the goddamn kill zone and put them the fuck down. Clear as mud? Are you getting an idea on this? That everything that you're shown in the movies is bullshit. And the one thing I want you to keep in mind from this video, spray and pray gets you killed. Fire discipline, controlled shots. That is what gets you through the firefight. How many rounds? You're probably saying, well, how many rounds should I put in a target? You put in as many rounds as required to put them down permanently. But you want to make sure that all the rounds you fire at that target, that enemy personnel, ends up in them and not going past them. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.